should have deleted his number years ago. That's what any sane woman would have done after Kevin walked out of my life and straight into Emma's perfect arms. But here I am, standing in the middle of the Meridian Gallery's opening night, my wine glass trembling slightly as his name lights up my phone screen. Kevin Morrison. 5 years. It's been 5 years since I last heard from him, and my heart still does that ridiculous flutter when I see his contact photo, that devastating smile that used to make me forget my own name. He looks older now, more distinguished with those silver threads at his temples. But God help me, he's still breathtakingly handsome. The message is simple, direct, so very Kevin. I can't stop thinking about you. I nearly dropped my Merlot on the gallery's pristine white floor. Around me, Portland's art elite continue their sophisticated chatter about brushstrokes and emotional depth, completely oblivious to the bomb that just exploded in my perfectly ordered world. My fingers hover over the screen. I should delete this, block his number, pretend Kevin Morrison never existed, just like I've been doing for 5 years. But instead, I find myself staring at those 7 words, remembering everything, the way he used to trace patterns on my bare shoulder while we lay tangled in my sheets, how he'd show up at my design studio with coffee and that crooked grin, making even my most stressful renovation projects feel manageable. The electricity that crackled between us every time we were in the same room, so intense that Emma's friends used to joke about it at parties, not knowing how close to the truth they were. Emma, his wife, the stunning socialite with legs for days, and a trust fund that could buy half of Oregon. I've seen their photos in the society pages. Kevin in his perfectly tailored suits, Emma glowing beside him at charity galas and wine country events. They look like they stepped out of a magazine spread titled Portland's Power Couples. But here's the thing about Kevin that Emma probably doesn't know. Despite 3 years of marriage, when he wants something, really wants it, he doesn't let go easily. And apparently, what he wants right now is me. My phone buzzes again. Another message. Christina, I know you're reading this. I can practically feel you thinking through the screen. Damn him. He always could read me like one of my design blueprints, seeing past all my carefully constructed walls, straight to the messy truth underneath. I glance around the gallery, making sure no one's watching, then step behind a massive abstract sculpture that looks like twisted metal emotions. My thumbs move before my brain can stop them. Then don't. I hit send before I can second guess myself, then immediately want to throw my phone into the nearest trash can. What am I doing? This is exactly the kind of reckless behavior that got me into trouble with Kevin the first time around. The response comes within seconds. Christ, Christina. Just those 2 words, and you've got me completely undone. Are you still at that gallery opening? The one you posted about on Instagram. He's been watching my social media, following my life from a distance, while playing happy husband with Emma. The thought sends an unwelcome thrill down my spine. Why? Planning to crash another one of my events like old times. I'm thinking about that night 4 years ago when he showed up at my client's housewarming party, supposedly there with Emma, but spending the entire evening finding excuses to brush past me, whisper comments about my dress, make me laugh until my cheeks hurt. Emma had been too busy networking to notice her husband's attention was entirely focused on his ex-lover. Maybe. Would that be such a terrible thing? Yes, I want to type. Yes, it would be terrible because you're married, and I spent 2 years getting over you, and I finally have my life exactly where I want it. My interior design firm is thriving. I have a beautiful loft downtown, and I don't spend my nights wondering when you're going to decide I'm not worth the risk anymore. But instead, I find myself typing, Emma's not with you tonight. Charity board meeting. Something about endangered butterflies. She'll be discussing wing patterns until midnight. I can picture it perfectly. Emma in her designer suit, perfectly coiffed, passionately advocating for causes that look good in the newspaper. She's not a bad person. That's what made it so complicated when Kevin and I were together. It would have been easier if I could hate her, but Emma's genuinely kind, just, safe, predictable. Everything Kevin told me he thought he wanted. And you're thinking about me instead of endangered butterflies. I'm thinking about a lot of things, like how you used to steal my coffee in the mornings and claim it tasted better that way. How you'd get that little line between your eyebrows when you were concentrating on a design. How you'd laugh at my terrible jokes just to make me feel clever. My chest tightens. He remembers all the small things, the intimate details that made our relationship feel like coming home. The things that Emma probably doesn't even notice about him. Kevin, I know this is crazy. I know I have no right to contact you after how things ended. But seeing your success, watching you build this incredible life, Christ, Christina, I'm so proud of you. And I miss you. I miss us. The familiar ache settles in my chest. This is how it always started with Kevin. These moments of raw honesty that made me forget every reason why we were wrong for each other. He'd strip away all his charm and show me the vulnerable man underneath, and I'd fall for it every single time. What do you want, Kevin? The typing indicator appears and disappears several times. He's struggling with his answer, which means it's something he knows he shouldn't say. To see you, just to see you. There's a new wine bar on Hawthorne, Vintage and Vine. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. If you don't show, I'll understand. But if you do, if I do, what? If you do, then maybe we can figure out what the hell we're supposed to do with all this unfinished business between us. I stare at my phone screen until the words blur. Unfinished business. Is that what you call a love affair that nearly destroyed 2 lives? Is that what you call the way he chose security over passion, stability over soul-deep connection? But even as my rational mind lists all the reasons this is a catastrophically bad idea, my body remembers the way Kevin's hands felt tangled in my hair, the way he'd look at me like I was the most fascinating woman in the world, the way he made me feel alive in ways I'd forgotten were possible. My phone buzzes with one final message. I'll be there either way. just in case, I slip my phone back into my purse and rejoin the gallery crowd. But I can barely focus on the art surrounding me. My mind is already 24 hours ahead, imagining myself walking into that wine bar, seeing Kevin's face light up when he realizes I came. This is dangerous territory. But maybe, just maybe, some risks are worth taking. The next 24 hours crawl by like torture. I change my outfit 3 times, finally settling on the midnight blue wrap dress that Kevin once said made my eyes look like starlight. I tell myself I'm not choosing it for him, but my reflection in the mirror calls me a liar. Vintage and Vine sits on a corner I've avoided for years. All exposed brick and Edison bulbs casting warm amber light through tall windows. I arrive 15 minutes early, claiming a corner table where I can watch the door. My hands shake as I order a glass of Pinot Noir, the same wine Kevin and I used to share at our old place downtown. I check my phone obsessively. 7:58 p.m. 7:59 p.m. What if he doesn't show? What if he's changed his mind? What if Emma found out and the door chimes and there he is? Dissolve in an instant. Kevin pauses in the doorway, scanning the room, and when his eyes find mine, that slow smile spreads across his face, the one that used to undo me completely. He's wearing a charcoal gray sweater that hugs his shoulders in all the right ways. His dark hair slightly mussed like he's been running his fingers through it. He weaves through the tables with that confident stride I remember so well, never breaking eye contact. My heart hammers against my ribs as he slides into the chair across from me, close enough that I catch a hint of his cologne, different from before, more expensive, but it still makes my pulse quicken. Christina, my name sounds like a prayer on his lips. You came. I said I would. I take a sip of wine to steady myself. You look good. So do you. That dress. His gaze travels slowly down to where the fabric wraps across my chest, then back up to my face. Some things never change. He orders a whiskey neat, and we fall into the kind of charged silence that used to precede our most passionate nights. The air between us crackles with 5 years of suppressed longing. How's married life? I ask, because someone has to acknowledge the elephant in the room. Kevin's jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. It's complicated. Complicated how? He leans forward, his fingers drumming against his glass. Emma's perfect on paper, beautiful, successful, comes from the right family. Everything I thought I wanted when I was being practical about my future. But she's cold, Christina. Everything's about appearances with her. The right restaurants, the right charity events, the right social media posts. His voice drops to barely above a whisper. There's no fire, no passion. She looks at me like I'm another acquisition in her perfect life portfolio. I should feel vindicated hearing this, but instead, I feel a stab of something uncomfortably close to pity for both of them. Why are you telling me this? I ask. Kevin reaches across the table, his fingers barely grazing my wrist. The touch sends electricity shooting up my arm. Because with you, I was alive, really alive. Every conversation was an adventure. Every touch was electric. You challenged me, inspired me, made me want to be better. I should pull my hand away, but I don't. Instead, I let his thumb trace small circles on my skin, remembering how those same hands used to worship every inch of my body. You were the real thing, he continues, his voice rough with emotion. What we had was real, raw, honest. I've spent 5 years trying to convince myself I made the right choice, but seeing you again, Kevin, I start to withdraw my hand, but he catches it, interlacing our fingers. I know this is crazy. I know I have no right to ask anything of you after how things ended, but I can't stop thinking about what we could have been, what we still could be. The wine is making me warm. Or maybe it's the way he's looking at me like I'm the only woman in the world, like I'm precious, irreplaceable. You're married, I remind him, but my voice lacks conviction, in name only. His thumb continues its maddening circles on my palm. Emma and I were like roommates who happened to share a tax return. When's the last time you felt truly desired, Christina? Truly seen? The question hits like a physical blow because the answer is, not since him. Not since Kevin looked at me like I hung the moon and whispered my name like it was sacred. This is dangerous, I whisper. The best things always are. He brings my hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to my knuckles that makes my breath catch. Do you remember that weekend we spent in that little cabin outside the city, when it rained for 3 days straight and we never left the bed? The heat floods my cheeks. Of course I remember. I remember every perfect, sinful detail. You made me feel like a goddess, he continues, his voice husky, like I could conquer the world as long as I had you beside me. Emma makes me feel like a well-dressed stranger in my own life. The bartender dims the lights, and suddenly the atmosphere becomes even more intimate. Kevin's eyes burn into mine across the small table, and I'm drowning in memories of how good we were together, how right it felt when he held me, how complete I felt in his arms. I've missed you, I admit, the words slipping out before I can stop them. I've missed you too. Every single day. He leans closer, his voice dropping to that low, seductive register that used to be my undoing. There's a boutique hotel 2 blocks from here, the Meridian. We could just talk somewhere more private, away from prying eyes. My pulse pounds in my throat. I know what he's really asking. I know what somewhere more private means, and my body is already responding to the suggestion with a heat I haven't felt in years. Christina, he squeezes my hand. One night, just to see if what we had is still there, if it's still as powerful as I remember. I look into his eyes, those same dark eyes that used to see straight through to my soul, and feel my resolve crumbling. 5 years of loneliness, of settling for men who could never measure up to what Kevin and I had together. 5 years of wondering, what if? I don't know, I breathe. But even as I say it, I'm already reaching for my purse. Kevin's smile is slow and devastating. That's not a no. He signals for the check, and I sit there watching him, my heart racing with anticipation and terror in equal measure. This is insane. This could destroy everything. His marriage, my carefully rebuilt life. Both our reputations. But as Kevin helps me into my coat, his hands lingering on my shoulders, I realize I don't care about the consequences anymore. Some hungers can only be ignored for so long. What would you do in my position? Tell me in the comments below. Because as we step out into the cool night air, Kevin's hand finding the small of my back, I know I'm about to find out just how much damage one night of passion can do. The elevator ride to the 7th floor feels eternal. Kevin's hand rests possessively on my lower back, and I can smell his cologne. That same intoxicating blend of cedar and bergamot that used to drive me wild. My reflection in the polished steel doors shows a woman I barely recognize. Flushed cheeks, bright eyes, lips slightly parted with anticipation. Room 714, Kevin murmurs, his breath warm against my ear as we walk down the carpeted hallway. The boutique hotel is exactly what I expected. Tasteful, discreet, the kind of place where no questions are asked. But as he slides the key card, reality crashes over me like ice water. I can't do this, I whisper, my hand flying to his wrist. Kevin, I can't be the other woman. Not again. He turns to face me, those dark eyes searching mine. For a moment, I think he'll argue, push harder. Instead, he nods slowly. You're right, he says, pocketing the key card. I'm sorry. I got carried away seeing you again. You deserve better than stolen moments in hotel rooms. We ride the elevator down in charged silence. Outside, Kevin hails me a cab, pressing a gentle kiss to my forehead before I slide into the backseat. This doesn't have to be the end, Christina, he says through the open window. Let me figure things out. Give me time. I should have said no. Should have told the driver to pull away. Instead, I found myself nodding. That was 3 weeks ago. Now Kevin comes to my apartment twice a week. Tuesdays, when Emma has book club, and Thursday afternoons, when she's at her Pilates class. We've created this perfect bubble of stolen time, and I'm drowning in it. I brought you something, Kevin says, settling onto my couch with that devastating smile. It's a Tuesday evening, and he's just arrived with takeout from that little Thai place we used to love. He produces a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Inside is a delicate gold bracelet with a tiny diamond charm. It's beautiful, I breathe, letting him fasten it around my wrist. But Kevin, Emma wouldn't appreciate something like this, he says, his fingers trailing along my pulse point. She's more interested in status symbols, big, flashy pieces that announce her wealth. She doesn't understand subtle beauty, and the way he says her name with such dismissive coldness should disturb me. Instead, I feel a twisted satisfaction. I'm the one he chose to spoil with thoughtful gifts. I'm the one who understands him. Last week, it was silk lingerie in midnight blue, the exact shade of the dress I wore that first night at Vintage and Vine. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you in that color, he'd whispered, watching me model it in my bedroom doorway. The week before, expensive French perfume. "Something just for us," he'd said, spraying it on my wrists, my throat, behind my ears. Emma thinks perfume is frivolous, says it gives her headaches. I find myself living for these moments, checking my phone obsessively for his texts, planning what to wear, what to cook, how to make our limited time perfect. I've become someone I don't recognize, desperate, needy, hanging on every crumb of attention he throws my way. "Tell me about your day," I say, curling up beside him as we eat pad thai from cardboard containers. This domesticity feels dangerously real. "The usual corporate nonsense," Kevin sighs, loosening his tie, though Emma's planning another dinner party this weekend. She loves playing the perfect hostess, showing off for her charity friends. It's all performance with her. He turns to me, his hand cupping my cheek. "You're everything she's not, Christina. Genuine, passionate, real." These comparisons have become a regular part of our conversations. How Emma is cold while I'm warm. How she's calculating while I'm spontaneous. How their bedroom is a dead zone, while what we have burns like fire. We haven't been intimate in over a year, Kevin confided during our second rendezvous, his head on my shoulder as we lay tangled in my sheets. She says she's too tired, too stressed. But I think the truth is she just doesn't feel anything anymore. Maybe she never did. I should feel guilty hearing these intimate details about his marriage. Instead, I store them away like precious secrets, proof that what Kevin and I have is special, irreplaceable. But tonight, as we finish our dinner and Kevin checks his watch, reality intrudes again. "I have to go," he says, already reaching for his jacket. Emma's expecting me home by 9. She gets suspicious if I'm too late. The casual way he mentions his wife's expectations stings. I watch him straighten his tie, erase all evidence of our evening together. In minutes, he'll walk back into his real life, leaving me with nothing but the lingering scent of his cologne on my pillows. "Kevin," I say as he heads for the door, "when you said to give you time to figure things out, what exactly are you figuring out?" He pauses, his hand on the doorknob. For a moment, his confident facade cracks, and I see something that might be uncertainty. "I'm working on it, Christina. These things are complicated. Emma and I, there are financial considerations, social obligations. I can't just walk away from a 10-year marriage overnight. But you will, eventually. If the pause stretches too long, I want to be with you. You have to believe that." After he leaves, I sit in my empty apartment, the takeout containers still on my coffee table, and try to ignore the growing knot in my stomach. The gifts feel heavy now, the bracelet around my wrist, the lingerie in my drawer, the perfume on my vanity. Are they tokens of love or payments for services rendered? I've been making excuses to friends for weeks, declined girls' nights, skipped my sister's birthday dinner, turned down dates with perfectly nice men. My life has narrowed to these stolen Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and I'm not sure I recognize myself anymore when my phone buzzes with a text from my best friend asking why I've been so MIA lately. I stare at the screen for long minutes, How do I explain that I'm having an affair with a married man, that I'm living for scraps of attention from someone who goes home to another woman every night? What would you tell your best friend if she was in my situation? Comment below, because sitting here in the aftermath of another perfect, terrible evening, I'm starting to wonder if I'm for Kevin, available when Emma isn't, grateful for whatever pieces of himself he's willing to share. The bracelet catches the lamplight, and I twist it around my wrist, remembering his words. Emma wouldn't appreciate something like this, but maybe Emma is smarter than I am. Maybe she knows that beautiful gifts from unfaithful men always come with invisible price tags. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Kevin. Thank you for tonight. You make everything better. Can't wait for Thursday. I type and delete a dozen responses before settling on a simple heart emoji. But as I hit send, I can't shake the feeling that I'm slowly disappearing into this fantasy we've created. 2 days until Thursday. I'm already counting down the hours. Thursday morning arrives with an unexpected text that makes my blood run cold. Not from Kevin, from Emma. We need to talk. Cafe Luna on 5th Street, 2 p.m. today. Come alone. I stare at the message, my hands trembling around my coffee mug. She knows. Somehow, Emma knows about Kevin and me. My mind races through possibilities. Did she find something on his phone? See us together. Part of me wants to ignore the message, to pretend it never happened. But I can't. The weight of what I've been doing, the lies I've been telling myself, crashes down all at once. I spend the morning pacing my apartment, changing clothes 3 times. What do you wear to meet your lover's wife? The gold bracelet Kevin gave me feels like it's burning my wrist, so I slip it off and hide it in my jewelry box. By 1:45, I'm sitting in my car outside Cafe Luna, watching well-dressed women come and go with their designer handbags and perfectly styled hair. This upscale cafe, with its marble tables and crystal chandeliers, seems like an odd choice for a confrontation. I expected something more private, more dramatic. Emma arrives at exactly 2 p.m., and I recognize her immediately from Kevin's Instagram posts. Though seeing her in person is different. She's stunning, tall, elegant, with honey blonde hair that catches the light. She's wearing a cream-colored blazer that probably costs more than my monthly rent, and she moves with the confidence of someone who's never doubted her place in the world. What surprises me most is her expression. I expected fury, tears, righteous anger. Instead, Emma looks almost tired, resigned. She spots me immediately. Kevin must have shown her photos, and walks over with measured steps. Christina. Her voice is softer than I expected, cultured, but not unkind. I nod, unable to speak. Thank you for coming. She sits across from me, placing a leather portfolio on the marble table between us. I wasn't sure you would. The server approaches, and Emma orders a cappuccino with oat milk. I ask for water. My throat feels like sandpaper. I know about you and Kevin, she says quietly. Once we're alone. I've known for weeks. I brace myself for the explosion, the accusations, the tears. Instead, Emma takes a slow sip of her cappuccino and studies me with clear blue eyes. "I'm not here to make a scene," she continues. "I'm here because I think you deserve to know the truth." "Emma, please let me finish." Her voice remains calm, but there's steel underneath. "I hired a private investigator 6 weeks ago. Kevin's been cheating throughout our entire marriage. You're number 4 that I know of." The words hit me like a physical blow. Number 4, not special, not different, just another name on a list. Emma opens the portfolio and slides it across the table. "Take a look." With shaking hands, I flip through the contents. Photos of Kevin entering hotels with different women, credit card receipts for jewelry purchases, multiple bracelets identical to mine, restaurant bills from Vintage and Vine with various dates and female companions. My stomach lurches as I see a photo of Kevin kissing a brunette outside a boutique hotel. The timestamp shows it was taken 3 months ago, right around the time he started texting me again. "He tells you all the same lies, doesn't he?" Emma's voice is almost gentle now. "That I'm cold, that our marriage is dead, that we haven't been intimate in over a year." I look up from the photos, unable to speak. She knows. She knows every word Kevin whispered to me in the dark. The truth is, Kevin is a serial cheater who's perfected his routine. He targets women from his past, women who already have feelings for him. It makes the seduction easier. Emma's finger traces the rim of her cup. "He probably brought you wine on your first meeting, Pinot Noir, right? Told you how beautiful you looked, how he never stopped thinking about you." Each word feels like another nail in the coffin of my delusions. The wine, the compliments, the intensity of his gaze, all of it choreographed, practiced, performed. But the gifts, I start weakly. "He bought identical bracelets for you, Sarah and Michelle." Emma points to a receipt in the folder. "Same jewelry store, same week." The man has no imagination. I'll give him that. I think about all those Tuesday and Thursday evenings, how Kevin always seemed to know exactly what to say, exactly how to touch me, how quickly he'd suggested the hotel, how smoothly he'd transitioned from reunion to seduction. Have you ever been in a complicated situation like this? Tell me in the comments. Why are you showing me this? My voice comes out as a whisper. Because I was you once. Emma's composure cracks slightly, and for the first time, I see real emotion in her eyes. 7 years ago, before we were married, I found out about his affairs. He convinced me it was different with me, that I was special, that the others meant nothing. She closes the portfolio with a soft thud. I stayed because I thought I could change him, because the good times were so good that they made the bad times seem worth it, because he made me feel like I was the only woman in the world when he wanted to. But you married him. I married a lie. Emma's laugh is bitter. And now I'm stuck in a beautiful prison with a man who sees women as conquests to be collected. Do you know what it's like to live with someone who's always looking over your shoulder for the next thrill? I think about all the times Kevin checked his phone during our evenings together. the way his attention sometimes seemed to drift even while he was holding me. I'd attributed it to stress from his marriage. But now, I wonder who else he was texting. The worst part, Emma continues, is that he actually believes his own lies. In Kevin's mind, he's the victim, trapped in a loveless marriage, forced to seek connection elsewhere. He's probably told you, I don't understand him, that I'm more interested in our social status than our relationship. She's right. He'd said exactly that, and I'd eaten up every word, feeling sorry for him, feeling chosen. So what happens now? I ask. Now you know the truth. Emma stands, leaving a $20 bill on the table. What you do with it is up to you. But Christina, she pauses, looking down at me with something that might be pity. You're 45 years old. You deserve better than being someone's Tuesday and Thursday distraction. As she walks away, her heels clicking confidently on the marble floor, I sit surrounded by the evidence of my own foolishness. The photos, the receipts, the undeniable proof that everything Kevin told me was a lie. My phone buzzes. A text from Kevin, counting down the hours until tonight. You're all I think about. For the first time in weeks, I don't feel that familiar flutter of anticipation. Instead, I feel hollow, used, stupid. I look at the message again, wondering how many other women have received identical texts, how many other hearts he's broken with his perfectly crafted performance. The gold bracelet in my jewelry box at home suddenly feels like evidence of my own gullibility, a prop in Kevin's well-rehearsed play, where I was never the leading lady, just another supporting character who didn't realize she was replaceable. Sitting in this upscale cafe, surrounded by the wreckage of my illusions, I finally understand what Emma meant about beautiful prisons. I've been living in one too, a fantasy built on lies, sustained by my own desperate need to believe I was special. But I'm not special. I'm just another chapter in Kevin's ongoing story of deception. The question now is, what do I do with that truth? I stare at Kevin's text until the words blur together, counting down the hours until tonight. You're all I think about. The same fingers that typed those words to me have typed them to Sarah, to Jennifer, to Rebecca, maybe even to women whose names I don't know yet. I gather Emma's evidence, the photos, the receipts, the damning timeline of Kevin's conquests, and stuff them into my purse. My hands shake as I stand, leaving the $20 bill untouched on the marble table. Emma's words echo in my mind. You deserve better than being someone's Tuesday and Thursday distraction. But do I, after what I've done, after willingly participating in this web of lies, do I deserve anything at all? The walk to my apartment feels endless. Each step pounds out the same rhythm. Fool, fool, fool. By the time I reach my door, I've made my decision. Kevin will come tonight, expecting our usual dance of seduction and lies. Instead, he's going to get the truth. I don't bother changing out of my work clothes or setting the mood with candles. When Kevin arrives at 7:30, punctual as always, I'm sitting at my kitchen table with Emma's leather portfolio spread open like evidence at a crime scene. His smile falters the moment he sees me. Christina, what's wrong? He moves toward me, that familiar confident stride that once made my pulse race. Now, it just makes me sick. Your wife came to see me today. I watch his face carefully, cataloging every micro-expression, the flash of panic he tries to hide, the quick calculation behind his eyes. Emma, that's impossible. She doesn't know about us. But his voice lacks its usual conviction. Kevin sets down the bottle of wine he brought. Probably the same vintage he's brought to all of them. She knows everything, Kevin. About me, about Sarah Martinez, about Jennifer Chen, about Rebecca Walsh. I slide one of the photos across the table. It's him entering a hotel with a brunette I don't recognize. Want to tell me who this one is? Kevin's jaw tightens. For a moment, he looks like a cornered animal. Then his expression shifts to something I've never seen before: cold calculation, mixed with barely contained anger. Christina, whatever Emma told you, you have to understand she's been unstable lately. Paranoid. She hired some sleazy private investigator to follow me because she can't handle that our marriage is over. He reaches for my hand, but I pull away. You know, what we have is real. What we have is different. Different, I laugh, and it sounds bitter even to my own ears. You gave me the exact same bracelet you gave Sarah. Word for word, the same inscription, Kevin. For my beautiful secret. How's that for different? His face flushes red. Those women threw themselves at me, Christina. I was lonely, Emma and I weren't. I made mistakes, yes, but with you it's... Stop. I stand up, my chair scraping against the floor. Just stop lying. I've seen the credit card receipts, the hotel rooms, the jewelry, the flowers. You have a system, Kevin, a playbook, and I was just stupid enough to think I was special. You are special. His voice rises, and for the first time since I've known him, Kevin sounds desperate. Christina, listen to me. Those other women meant nothing. They were just what? Just lonely women you could manipulate. Just convenient distractions while you figured out what to do about your marriage. I moved toward the door, needing distance from him. How many of us knew about each other, Kevin? How many of us were sitting at home on the... We weren't your designated entertainment, wondering if you missed us. Kevin follows me, his composure cracking further. You're being dramatic. So what if I've had other relationships? I'm not happy at home, you know that. Emma and I are basically strangers living in the same house. These women, they understood that. They knew what they were getting into. Did they? I spin around to face him. Did Sarah know about Jennifer? Did Jennifer know? Did any of us know we were just rotating through your schedule like appointments? His silence is answer enough. Get out. The words come out steadier than I feel. Get out of my apartment and don't ever contact me again. Christina, please, don't do this. What we have is over. I walk to the door and open it. And Kevin, your wife isn't unstable. She's smart enough to see what I was too blind to notice. You're not a romantic hero caught in a loveless marriage. You're just a selfish man who takes what he wants without caring who gets hurt. Kevin stares at me for a long moment, and I see him clearly for the first time. Not the passionate lover I thought I knew, but a narcissist who's been caught in his own web of lies. The mask finally slips completely. Fine. His voice turns cold, businesslike. But don't come crawling back when you realize what you're giving up. Women like you, Christina, you're a dime a dozen. Lonely, desperate, grateful for any attention. I was doing you a favor. The cruelty in his words hits like a physical blow, but I force myself to stay standing. Goodbye, Kevin. After he leaves, I lock the door and slide the chain. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely manage it. I lean against the door, listening to his footsteps fade down the hallway, and finally allow myself to fall apart. The next few days blur together in a haze of shame and self-recrimination. I call in sick to work, unable to face the thought of pretending everything is normal. My phone sits silent on the nightstand. I blocked Kevin's number the night he left, but part of me keeps expecting it to ring anyway. I can't eat. The thought of food makes my stomach turn. When I look in the mirror, I see a woman I don't recognize, hollow-eyed, gaunt, aged by the weight of what I've done. Not just to myself, but to Emma, to the other women whose hearts Kevin broke while I was too infatuated to care. My sister calls on Thursday, my old Kevin night. Christina, you sound terrible. Are you sick? Something like that. I curl deeper into my couch, surrounded by tissues and empty teacups. Do you want me to come over? I can bring soup. Or, no, the word comes out sharper than I intended. I just need some time alone. But alone is the last thing I should be. Alone. I replay every moment with Kevin, analyzing each lie, each manipulation I was too desperate to see. Alone, I remember Emma's words about beautiful prisons and realize I built mine with my own hands. The gold bracelet sits in its velvet box on my dresser, a monument to my own foolishness. I should throw it away, but I can't bring myself to touch it. It feels contaminated now, tainted by the knowledge that 3 other women received identical gifts, identical promises, identical lies. I was 45 years old, and I fell for the oldest con in the book. Worse, I participated in it. I helped Kevin hurt his wife, helped him perfect his technique for the next woman who would believe his lies. The shame is suffocating. It wraps around me like a heavy blanket, making it hard to breathe, hard to think, hard to imagine ever feeling clean again. On Friday morning, my phone rings. Not Kevin's blocked number. I made sure of that, but an unknown local number. I almost don't answer, but something makes me pick up. Christina, it's Emma. My blood turns to ice. Emma, please don't hang up. Her voice is calm, controlled. I need to see you again. There's something we need to discuss. I clutch the phone tighter. I don't think that's a good idea. I'm so sorry for what Christina, she cuts me off gently. This isn't about apologies. This is about justice. Can you meet me at Riverfront Park? The bench by the fountain in an hour. Something in her tone makes me agree. Maybe it's guilt, maybe it's curiosity, or maybe it's the desperate need to do something, anything, other than wallow in my shame. I find Emma sitting exactly where she said she'd be, feeding breadcrumbs to a cluster of pigeons. She's wearing a navy blazer and crisp white shirt, professional, determined. When she sees me approaching, she doesn't smile, but she doesn't look angry either. "Thank you for coming." She pats the bench beside her. "How are you holding up?" I sit, leaving space between us. "I've been better," the understatement of the century. "Emma, I need you to know how sorry I am. I had no right. You had no right to sleep with my husband," she agrees matter-of-factly. "But Kevin had no right to lie to both of us. He's the one who took vows. He's the one who made promises he never intended to keep." I stare at her profile. This woman I helped betray. "How can you be so calm about this?" "Because I've had time to think." She turns to face me fully. "And because I have a proposition for you." The word proposition makes my stomach clench. "What kind of proposition?" "I'm divorcing Kevin." She says it like she's announcing the weather. "I've already filed the papers, but I need evidence of his affairs for the settlement. Concrete proof of his infidelity." My mouth goes dry. "You want me to testify? I want you to help me make sure he can never do this again." Emma's voice hardens. "To either of us, or to the women who come after us." I think about the other women Kevin mentioned, the yoga instructor, the marketing executive, the teacher. All of us reduced to nothing more than conquests in his twisted game. "Emma, if I testify, everyone will know. My family, my friends, my colleagues. The thought makes me nauseous. It would be public humiliation." "I know." She reaches into her purse and pulls out a manila folder. "But you won't be alone." She opens the folder, revealing photographs and documents. My heart stops when I see familiar faces, women I don't know personally, but whose expressions mirror my own devastation. Sarah Martinez, the yoga instructor. She's 32, divorced, thought Kevin was going to leave me for her. Emma flips to another photo. Jennifer Walsh, marketing executive at Pinnacle Corp 28. Never been married. Kevin told her I was frigid and that he was only staying for the money. Each photo is a punch to the gut. These aren't just names anymore. They're real women with real pain etched into their faces. And Rebecca Chen, high school teacher, 35, recently out of a long relationship. Emma's voice is steady, clinical. Kevin's pattern is always the same. He targets successful, independent women going through transitions, makes them feel special, chosen, then discards them when he gets bored or when they start asking for more commitment. I study the photos, seeing pieces of my own story reflected in their eyes. Have you talked to them? All of them. Emma closes the folder. They're all willing to testify. They all received identical gifts, gold bracelets with diamond charms. They all heard the same lies about our marriage being over in everything but name. They all thought they were the exception to his rule. And the gold bracelet on my dresser suddenly feels like evidence in a crime scene. He really is a predator, isn't he? A very sophisticated one. Emma stands, smoothing her blazer. He studies his targets, learns their vulnerabilities, then exploits them. You mentioned your divorce was finalized 2 years ago. I'm betting he knew that. I'm betting he knew exactly when to slide back into your life. The timing hits me like a physical blow. My divorce was finalized in March. Kevin texted me in May, right when I was starting to feel lonely, starting to wonder if I'd ever find love again. Oh God, I press my hands to my face. He was watching me, wasn't he? Waiting for the right moment, probably through social media. Kevin's very good at reading between the lines of Instagram posts and Facebook updates. Emma's voice softens slightly. Christina, you're not stupid. You're not weak. You were targeted by someone who's perfected this manipulation over years. If you've ever been tempted by someone you shouldn't have been, hit that like button, because what I'm about to tell you might save you from making the same mistake I did. I look up at Emma, this woman who has every reason to hate me, but instead is offering me something I never expected: understanding. What exactly are you asking me to do? Testify about your relationship with Kevin. Provide dates, gifts, communications. Help me prove a pattern of serial infidelity that goes beyond simple adultery. She sits back down, leaning forward intently. But more than that, help me make sure his next target knows. Into his next target, Emma nods grimly. Kevin won't stop. Men like him never do. They just get better at hiding it, better at choosing victims who won't fight back. But if we expose him publicly, if we make his methods known, she off, letting me fill in the blanks. We protect other women. Exactly. Emma reaches over and touches my arm gently. I know it's terrifying. I know it means admitting publicly that you were deceived. But Christina, staying silent means he wins. It means he moves on to his next victim, with his reputation intact and his methods perfected. I think about the woman Kevin will target next. Maybe she'll be recently divorced, like I was. Maybe she'll be lonely, vulnerable, desperate to believe that someone finds her irresistible. Maybe she'll ignore red flags because she wants so badly to be chosen, to be special. The other women, Sarah, Jennifer, Rebecca, they're really willing to go public. They are. We formed a group chat, actually. We call ourselves Kevin's X-Files. Emma's mouth quirks in what might be the ghost of a smile. Gallows humor helps sometimes. The thought of these women supporting each other, turning their shared trauma into strength, moves something inside me. For the first time in days, I feel something other than shame. What would I have to do exactly? Meet with my attorney. Provide documentation, texts, emails, receipts from your meetings. Give a deposition about the timeline and nature of your relationship. Emma's voice becomes businesslike again. My lawyer specializes in high-asset divorces involving infidelity. She's handled cases like this before. I take a deep breath, tasting autumn air and the distant scent of Emma's perfume. Something clean and expensive, Nothing like the cloying sweetness Kevin bought me. When do we start? 3 weeks later, I'm sitting in a mahogany-paneled conference room on the 32nd floor of a downtown law firm. My hands folded in my lap as Emma's attorney, a sharp-eyed woman named Victoria Chen, reviews my deposition one final time. Christina, you understand that once you testify today, there's no going back. Victoria's voice is crisp, professional. Kevin's legal team will try to discredit you, make you seem like a vindictive ex-lover. I nod, though my stomach churns. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sprawls below us like a circuit board, all gleaming lines and blinking lights. Emma sits across from me, wearing a charcoal suit that makes her look like she could run a Fortune 500 company. Her wedding ring is gone. I'm ready, I say, though I'm not sure I am. The courtroom is smaller than I expected, all dark wood and hushed voices. Kevin sits at the defendant's table in a navy suit, his hair perfectly styled. When our eyes meet across the room, he gives me the faintest smile, the same one he used to flash when he'd slip his hand under the table at restaurants. My testimony goes exactly as Victoria predicted. I recount the timeline, the unexpected text, the wine bar meeting, the twice-weekly encounters at my apartment. I describe the gold bracelet with its diamond charm, the French perfume, the way he claimed his marriage was loveless. Kevin's attorney, a silver-haired man who looks like he charges by the syllable, tries to paint me as a homewrecker who pursued a married man. But I'm prepared for this. I have the text messages, the receipts, the timeline that proves Kevin initiated everything. Ms. Anderson, the attorney says, his voice dripping condescension, isn't it true that you knew Mr. Thompson was married from the very beginning? Yes, I admit. But he told me his marriage was over in everything but name. He said he and Emma were like roommates, sharing a tax return. I see Emma flinch slightly at her table, and for a moment, I feel a pang of guilt. Then I remember why we're here. The most powerful moment comes when Victoria presents the evidence of Kevin's pattern, the identical gifts, the same manipulation tactics, the systematic targeting of recently divorced women. 3 other women testify via video link. Sarah, a marketing executive from Portland, Jennifer, a pediatric surgeon from Austin, Rebecca, a gallery owner from Miami. Each story is heartbreakingly similar, the unexpected contact after years of silence, the claims of an unhappy marriage, the expensive gifts, the same gold bracelet, the same French perfume. Kevin's face remains impassive throughout, but I catch him glancing at his phone several times. His attorney objects frequently, but the judge allows most of the testimony. When I finally step down from the witness stand, my legs feel like water. Emma squeezes my hand as I pass her table, and for the first time in weeks, I feel like I can breathe. The proceedings continue for another hour. Financial experts, character witnesses, more evidence of Kevin's deception. Finally, the judge calls for a recess until tomorrow, when closing arguments will begin. I gather my purse and the manila folder containing copies of my testimony, desperate to escape the courthouse's oppressive atmosphere. The marble floors echo with the click of heels and the murmur of legal conversations. I'm almost to the elevator when Emma appears beside me. "Christina, wait." Her voice is urgent, different somehow. "I need to talk to you." Privately, we ride the elevator down in silence. The tension between us, thick as smoke. Emma leads me to a small cafe across the street from the courthouse, the kind of place where lawyers grab quick lunches between depositions. She orders 2 cappuccinos, her hands trembling slightly as she reaches for her wallet. We find a corner table, away from the afternoon crowd of suits and briefcases. "You did beautifully in there," Emma says, but there's something hollow in her voice. "Really, I couldn't have asked for better testimony." "Thank you." I study her face, noticing for the first time how tired she looks. Dark circles under her eyes that makeup can't quite hide. "Are you okay? This must be incredibly difficult for you." Emma laughs, but it's not a happy sound. "Difficult, yes, you could say that." She takes a sip of her cappuccino, leaving a perfect lipstick print on the white ceramic. "Christina, I need to tell you something. Something that's going to change everything you think you know." My stomach drops. "What do you mean?" Emma looks around the cafe, as if checking for eavesdroppers. When she speaks again, her voice is barely above a whisper. "I'm not really Kevin's wife." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "I'm his business partner. We've been running a long con for 3 years, targeting wealthy women for money and secrets we can use for blackmail." Emma's composure finally cracks, and I see tears gathering in her eyes. "You were never supposed to be a victim, Christina. You were supposed to be our next partner." The cafe seems to tilt around me. The sound of conversation fades to a distant hum. "I don't understand. The marriage was fake. A cover story. The other mistresses, Sarah, Jennifer, Rebecca, they're actresses we hired." Emma's words come faster now, tumbling over each other. "Your affair with Kevin wasn't real. It was an elaborate recruitment test. I feel like I'm drowning. That's impossible. The divorce proceedings, the testimony, all theater. We've been watching you for months, Christina. Your interior design clients include senators, CEOs, federal judges, people with secrets worth millions. Your access to their homes, their private conversations, their personal documents." Emma reaches across the table, her fingers grazing mine. "Join us, and you'll never have to work again." The cappuccino turns to ash in my mouth. Every memory from the past month reframes itself in this new, horrible light. Kevin's convenient marriage troubles. Emma's perfectly timed appearance at Cafe Luna. The other women's testimonies that seemed almost rehearsed. "The private investigator," I whisper. "The evidence you showed me. We created it all. Kevin really is a master manipulator, but not the way you think." Emma's voice takes on an almost admiring tone. He can read people, find their vulnerabilities, exploit their desires. It's a gift, really. I think of my clients. Senator Morrison with his drinking problem. CEO Patricia Wells with her gambling addiction. Federal Judge Andrews with his secret medical condition. All the private moments I've witnessed while arranging their homes. The conversations I've overheard. The documents I've glimpsed. You're blackmailers, I say. The word tasting like poison. We prefer to think of ourselves as information brokers. Emma's smile is sharp now, predatory. These people have more money than they could spend in 10 lifetimes. We just help redistribute it a little. The courthouse looms across the street. Its columns and flags a mockery of justice. The divorce proceedings tomorrow will conclude with Kevin and me reconciling. A beautiful story of forgiveness and second chances. Emma finishes her cappuccino, leaving the cup precisely centered on its saucer. But that's only if you say no, and if I say yes, then we disappear together. New identities, unlimited resources, a life of luxury most people can only dream of. Emma's eyes glitter with something that might be excitement or madness. Think about it, Christina. No more struggling to build your business. No more worrying about money. No more being alone. I stare at this woman who I thought was my ally, my fellow victim, and realize I'm looking at a complete stranger. Everything, the tears, the vulnerability, the shared pain, has been in performance. How long do I have to decide? My voice sounds hollow, distant. 24 hours. Emma stands, smoothing her skirt. Meet us at the Meridian Hotel tomorrow night at 8. Room 2847. If you don't show, we'll assume you've chosen to stay in your small, honest life. She walks away without looking back, leaving me alone with the wreckage of everything I thought I knew about truth, justice, and my own story.